Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side.
Armchair Quarterbacks Radio covers the whole SEC the whole season long.
Dobbs heaves it. They're bunched up in the end zone. It's tipped up. It's caught. It is caught. Jawan Jennings.
Just the start of things. First quarter at the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. And Walker digs to the right. Gets outside. The 35. Look out. He's past midfield and he's got a blocker. Cuts to the inside. Herschel Walker. There he goes again.
Straight up the middle. Touchdown. Delayed reaction, but Tebow got in. Oh, jump pass. How about that? Oh, my gosh. That looks like 1955. Holy cow. Are you kidding me?
Armchair.
SEC!
Junko away, monkey junkies.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Armchair.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
No, it's from Geico, because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Hey, sports fans, football season is here, and it's time to get in on the action. MyBookie.ag has more odds and props than anyone else in the industry. Using MyBookie is simple. Just pick your team, select your odds, and collect your cash. MyBookie.ag has proven to be the most exciting online experience for all sports fans. With the fastest payouts in the industry, there's no other choice than MyBookie.ag. Get in on the action today. Visit MyBookie.ag today.
Dread running to the post office? Stamps.com brings post office and UPS services right to your computer. Send letters, ship packages, and get up to 40% off USPS and up to 62% off UPS rates. Nearly 1 million small businesses use Stamps.com to save time and money. It's a no-brainer. So skip the post office and visit Stamps.com. Use promo code LISTEN for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. That's Stamps.com, promo code LISTEN.
I'm Amy Lawrence, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
You're not sick tonight, are you? Good. Your tongue's going to be hanging out. Tell him to throw up on his own time.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
But what the hell, boy?
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
Yes, and what a lovely morning.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Grandpa, what did you do for a living?
I was a Major League Baseball player.
Who was the...
but I did pitch against one great player, Ted.
Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Here's your Major League Baseball action for Wednesday, July 21st, 12:10 Eastern. The Tampa Bay Rays finished their series with the Baltimore Orioles. It's Michael Wacha on the mound. And at 12:20, the same for the Padres and Braves. 7:05, Matt Moore and the Philadelphia Phillies are back in the Bronx. And the Red Sox are at the Blue Jays. Tanner Hoke at Robbie Ray. 8 Eastern on ESPN, Kyle Hendricks and Adam Wainwright. Why is this not getting flexed? At 12:35, you got the Mets finishing up with the Reds. It's Marcus Stroman versus Jeff Hoffman. Royals and Brewers at 2:10 Eastern. Brett Anderson on the mound for the Brew Crew. At 3:10, Rockies host the Mariners, while at 3:40, Chad Kuhl and Madison Bumgarner are on the mound for Pittsburgh and Arizona. 7:05, Marlins, Sandy Alcantara and Eric Fetty of the Nationals are head-to-head. And at 7:10 Eastern on ESPN Plus, the Rangers are at the Tigers. Jordan Lyles is on the hill. Eli Morgan will try to take down Lance McCullers as the Indians invade the Astros. And at 8:10 Eastern, it's the Twins versus White Sox, while the Giants and Dodgers are at it once again versus Julio Urias. Alabama football coach Nick Saban hasn't officially named Bryce Young the Crimson Tide's starting quarterback, and yet Saban says that Young is already approaching $1 million in endorsement deals. According to reports, Saban told the Texas High School Coaches Association convention on Tuesday that Young, a sophomore who's due to make ungodly numbers. According to reports, Saban told Texas High School Coaches Association at a convention on Tuesday that Bryce Young is due to make ungodly numbers. While Saban wouldn't divulge the specifics in the deals Young has signed, Saban said the compensation is almost 7 figures. Quote, "And it's like the guy hasn't even played yet. That's because of our brand," unquote. Young signed a deal to be represented by Creative Arts Agency on July 2nd. The deal was signed the day after the NCAA allowed athletes to profit off their name, image, and likeness. So far, Young's only public endorsement has been in the form of a tweet for the company, Cash App. Also in college football, Dabo Swinney said Tuesday neither he nor his players are in favor of an expanded 12-team college football playoff, but he also knows the change is inevitable and it's coming to the format. Quote, "I knew when it went to 4, it was going to become all about the playoffs. And when it goes to 12, it's going to become more about the playoffs. It's inevitable. Some people will say, well, you've been in the playoffs. If we can get in with 4, we're going to get in with 12. Our odds aren't going to go down, so it's not about that," unquote. And the LA Rams running back Cam Akers has torn his Achilles, and a source says the second-year star is expected to miss the entire 2021 season. Akers suffered the injury while working out and underwent testing to confirm the diagnosis. The Rams announced the Akers injury Tuesday, but did not disclose an official timeline for how long he will be out. Akers was expected to be the focal point of the Los Angeles Rams running game this season after his breakout rookie campaign where he averaged 113.1 yards a game from the line of scrimmage in his final 7 games. And that's your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Stay tuned for the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Was high, the bases full, the crowd began to cheer.
Payoff pitch, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern, here on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel. We go live talking fantasy baseball, DFS, all through the world of analytics. Sean O'Toole, Stephen Troche. It's the payoff pitch every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, talking fantasy baseball.
If you can make a hit in a ball game, you can make.
Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Sean O'Toole.
Good morning, Mr. Mac McGee. And I don't know much, but I know one thing. All of you spaghetti-spined woke flakes that dragged Megyn Kelly off the air and are taking another pot shot at her for calling out Naomi Osaka, saying she needs to prioritize her mental health while she's got 19 magazine covers out at the same time. Where were you last week when Screaming A was saying Japanese players suck because they use interpreters? Get out of here. You're driving me crazy. You're going to make me vote red in the next election. I hate you guts. Stop it.
Welcome to the dark side, Sean. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. I think I'm going to go back to college and see if I got any eligibility left. I'm sure the NIL has room for me in like some kind of Miller Lite drinking team. There's got to be something I can make money off of. This is ridiculous. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
You know what your problem is? Your face. Yeah, right. Come on, wise up, man. You're too good looking. These girls go out with you and they get nervous, man. They feel dumpy. They don't want to compete. They want a guy like me. Right, a basic Neanderthal type. Right, you're swarthy type, a man's man, the kind of guy who's using testosterone. Exactly. A young woman in today's society, she wants a little bulk in her diet. Yeah, she wants a big guy who sweats. Best thing that can happen to you is an industrial accident.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Howdy, hi, top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee along with Sean O'Toole. Sean O'Toole, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
Man, I'm feeling great. It is T-minus 10 days before I'm going to be inside Truist Park next weekend for Hank Aaron weekend. Just booked some tickets yesterday for St. Louis at the end of August to see my beloved Detroit Tigers at Busch Stadium, which lets me check another ballpark off of my bucket list of seeing games in all the major league stadiums. It's a good week, man. NBA season's over, which means it is now officially football season with a little baseball in between. Got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into it real quick. Won't spend much time on it because the series is over, but congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks. Congratulations to Giannis as he wins his first NBA title. And I kind of like what he had to say about how it's easy to go chase down a ring, but I want it here. You know, that was a jab. You know, that was a jab at LeBron James.
Oh,
how
yeah.
could it not be, especially after he turned down going into Space Jam 2 with LeBron. So you know that was an absolute jab. And so I still, with that being said, Giannis does not finish his career in Milwaukee. There's no way. There's no way. I think that guy ends up in a big media outlet, and Milwaukee's not it. So now he might just go right down the road and go to Chicago, but he's not going to stay in Milwaukee. I don't believe. Not his entire career, because it's going to be hard to get kids to come to Milwaukee and play with Giannis because you want to be in Milwaukee. You've never really had that as a longtime power in the NBA, a kind of a dud of a city, right?
Sure.
So all the kids always want to go play. I mean, I'm sure I would like Milwaukee fine. I mean, hell, they make Miller Lite there, for Christ's sake. But but I'm looking at it more as far as these kids. They normally want to go to the Meccas, the Los Angeleses. They want to go to even San Francisco,
LA, New York, Chicago, Dallas. Dallas is a major market.
Miami.
It's not viewed that way, but it is. Miami. Yep.
Miami, Dallas. Dallas is a tick above Milwaukee, but it's when you look at, they all want to be on the very populated eastern or western coast. They all want to be on the coast. Chicago's the one outlet where you could say you can probably talk them into it. But it wouldn't have shocked me if years ago, if we were in the situation we're in now, Jordan might have left Chicago eventually.
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't, and the rest is history. But the point being, I would be shocked if Giannis stays there his entire career. Other thing is, and we can get more into this next week or whatnot, NBA free agency is going to be hitting us very, very quickly. I will be intrigued to see where Chris Paul goes, because I still think he's chasing that ring, and he's got a good team in Phoenix, obviously, but they're missing a few pieces. And can you talk someone to come into Phoenix, right? Because that's kind of like one of those also ran cities where you're like, okay, it's an okay place to live, but are you going to get the big megastars to come follow you there? I don't know.
That owner is a super duper wild card. It's going to be one of the most off-season storylines is to see what they do there, because that was a 1-year deal. I mean, they don't he's basically a restricted free agent.
I believe the draft isn't the draft next Thursday. Isn't that correct? I believe.
Yeah, it's like almost immediately. I mean, we've got the Kraken expansion draft tonight, and then I think the NHL draft is in a couple days, and then the NBA draft's like next week. So yeah, it's like draft city.
Yeah, I know the NHL draft is on Friday, and I'm pretty sure they normally do the NBA draft the Thursday after the finals end. So I don't think
the draft's coming up.
Yeah, I don't think they would bump it up a couple of days and do it this Thursday night. That would be phenomenal, and it would be great to have something to watch like that. But I don't think they'll do it. I think you'd have GMs freaking out. Are you serious? I haven't even studied. It's like half our fantasy football leagues. You know? But the draft's today, dude. We're 2 days away from kickoff. When the hell did you think it was? I thought I had a couple of days. I thought we were gonna do it like at 6 p.m. On Thursday night, right before the Bucks take the field. All right, let's go ahead and get into the first round. I'm telling you, there's always that one guy in the league. Let's go and get in the first quarter of the armchair quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers turns down the contract. That news broke late yesterday morning, so we didn't have a chance to talk about it then. Does this mean anything to you? Because what it really just means to me is what we already kind of knew. He doesn't want to be a Green Bay Packer past this year, and he is a free agent past this year. And if he doesn't sign, then they don't control him. He controls where he goes. What say you?
You can, if you listen very carefully, you can hear the river of crying flowing from inside me as a Lions fan that Aaron Rodgers might eventually no longer be a Green Bay Packer. If you listen real carefully, I can't, I think what we all know is what's going to come to pass, which is he wants to dictate where he ends his career, and he doesn't want to be in Green Bay anymore. He's playing chicken with him. And I don't think that franchise has shown any proclivities towards accommodating him. And it's going to be a real interesting season for them, man, because that's not the kind of fan base that supports individual players.
Dude, honestly,
they support the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. They turned on Favre like that when he left a couple times and kept goofing around with retirement. I think they're going to turn on Rodgers. I really do.
To be honest with you, I don't let him have that power, and I trade his ass. I'm sorry.
Right now. Not where he wants to go either. Trade him, trade him to Houston.
This isn't like picks. Yeah, this isn't like Major League Baseball where if you sign a guy, you have to give up a draft pick, right? You get nothing in return if you lose Brett Favre.
Nothing. There's no comp pick.
Right.
Nothing.
It doesn't matter how good Jordan Love is or how bad he is. You get nothing in return.
Zero.
Right?
Zip.
LaFleur's in what is this, the second year? Right?
No, this will be his third or fourth. He's been to 2 NFC championship games. So, yeah, this will be his third.
Yeah. That's right. This is his second year. Sorry. He's got 2 years under his belt. This is his third.
2 years under his belt. This is his third.
That's what I meant to say. Sorry. So if you're LaFleur and you're expecting to be there long term, and I don't see why he wouldn't be, because like you just said, he's been to 2 NFC championship games in a row, losing to San Fran and then losing at home to to Brady. Well, let's just be honest. It wasn't really the Bucks. He lost to Brady.
Kind of lost to Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, if we're being honest. But yeah, same.
He kind of lost to good old fashioned smartness.
Yeah, he sure did.
Let's kick a field goal down 8. What? Wait, what?
And what? And what?
Do you understand the clock?
You know how math works?
Yeah. You know there's not 5 quarters in football, right? That's why they call it a quarter, because it's a quarter of. Okay, anyways. I trade him. I see what I can get for who I can get, and I trade him, and bye-bye. And all I want is draft capital. Because at this point, it's probably too difficult to find something that you can get to help your team this year.
My biggest question there would be, what's the market? Who's the team aside from
Denver.
Houston? Who we know?
Denver.
Okay, that's another one.
Because you're not going to make a trade with. Well, you could make a trade with Houston for draft picks, but you don't want Deshaun Watson back because he's
no.
You let them trade Deshaun Watson some other way, right?
Right.
But the problem is if you trade Aaron Rodgers to Houston, they're going to be a lot better. So you're not going to get as good of a draft pick. That's the issue there. But and would Aaron Rodgers even go? Would he just hold out, and would that null the trade and all that kind of stuff?
Right.
I think you've got two choices. You've got Miami and you've got Denver. And I think those are the two realistic choices. Miami, you can bring in Tua, right? You can say, give us Tua.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to figure out who's better. And whoever it is, that'll start. And whoever it isn't, that'll sit, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's my most intriguing one. Plus, I live in Florida. And I'll get a chance to watch Rodgers a lot. That'd be really fun.
There you go.
He if he goes out to Denver, it's like you might as well trade him to like the KBO and I'm like, I'm never gonna see these games, man.
Trade him to Willie Beeman's team, the Albuquerque Aztecs. That made up franchise.
I was cleaning up my favorites on my the bar on your computer, and I was cleaning up my favorites on a laptop that I literally only use every once in a while. You pretty much use it while I'm working, and I pretty much just go to Yahoo on it, right? And just look at fantasy stuff or whatever. And so I was cleaning it up last night, and I was like, my God, I've got 3. So this tells you how old the last time I cleaned it up. I had 3 favorites where I could go straight to the KBO. Because I was using that computer last year when we were doing the show, and that's how I was
talking about it,
and that's all I had to talk about. So I was like, man, what else is in here? My hot take on how good Sam Darnold was going to be. But anyways, moving on from that, I guess we need to go ahead and jump in here to it's Minnesota football time, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right, we're doing the Minnesota Golden Gophers today. Tomorrow, by the way, we'll be doing the Vikings. So with Joey, so that'll be a lot of fun too. So we're going to kind of knock out this area of the country today. And Minnesota was so good. I mean, so darn good in 2019, right?
They were the story of college football, definitely in the Big Ten at least.
Oh yeah, I mean they were definitely it, and then they just fell off the wayside last year. Now a lot of that has to do with the fact that they lost so much on defense last year. They couldn't stop running water last year.
No, they couldn't stop nothing.
But even with that, Sean, they went 3-4, and they lost 2 games in overtime. They lost to Maryland, and they lost to Wisconsin, which means in theory they could have been 5-2. Now, if you're sitting there going, "Why is there only 7 games?" Because of COVID and that deleted.
Yep. They had a bunch of games called off.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So I forgot how many games were deleted by COVID until I started doing like these, the readings for all these teams.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to come across a team that goes, they were 1-2 last year. Wait, what? They only played 3 games. How did I miss that? I felt like that's the way Florida State was. I felt like every Saturday morning we woke up and go, "Oh Christ, not again." I mean, it was for the first time ever. I was like, "Can we just get to basketball season? I'm so tired of watching this. Watching the pregame of. By the way, we're not going to play today. Toodles, you do you, Toodles." All right, so Minnesota is to me. PJ Fleck might have missed his opportunity. PJ Fleck had a chance to go to Florida State at the end of 2019. A lot of people forget that he was sought after, and he re-signed with Minnesota. Now, if he turns it around,
for 4 years and big money, I think it was like 4 years, $12 million. It was big money.
You think they wouldn't have backed the truck up in Tallahassee for him?
Oh, they would have. Yeah.
So we're going to find out if that was a good idea or a bad idea. And this will be the year we'll find out, because they won't fire him. I get that. But
absolutely not.
If they come out and lay an egg this year, it's gonna be hard to recruit in Minnesota, considering all the
hard already.
Right.
It's hard already. It's going to be harder.
Right. When you had a really good year in 2019, you wanted to follow that up with a good 2020. You didn't, and COVID hurt and whatever. But the point is, the team sucked. Okay.
Yep.
if you come into 2021 and you have another Minnesota being Minnesota, then you're going to have some big time issues. And that's what I'm looking at right now. Now, they did get some transfers in on defense, which I found very interesting. This kind of went under my radar. I did not realize that Pinckney from Clemson transferred over. And for people who don't remember him, he was a captain on that
he was.
Clemson defense. He had over 1,000 snaps with Clemson. It wasn't like he was a part-time player. He played. And so he's coming in. Val Martin from NC State's coming in. I remember him very vividly. And so they have a total of 8 incoming transfers. This Minnesota team should be pretty good. What say you?
Yeah, I was very curious when I did a deep dive on them, how many transfers they brought in. And you mentioned the transfers on defense, again, replacing 7 starters. They bring Tanner Morgan back, who looked really good in 2019, but looked really bad last year. There's a lot of attention being paid to the fact that Rashad Bateman opted out and went to the NFL. I'm not as concerned about that because Fleck wants to run a very prototypical Ohio State offense with a running game. And you would be forgiven for not having seen him last year, but Mohamed Ibrahim is a stud, and he led the Big Ten in rushing last year, and he's back. I'm more curious in the transfers they got in the specialty game, the kickers, especially from Kent State and Temple that they're bringing in. Because look, their 2 overtime losses last year came on missed kicks, an extra point against Maryland and a field goal against Wisconsin. That's been something they've struggled with before. I like them at 8 or 9 wins. I think they're going to rebound and have a nice, bounce back kind of season. But I just don't see them being on the level of Ohio State, Wisconsin, or Indiana, all of whom they play this year. They dodge Michigan, and they've also got a game really early in the year in Boulder at Colorado, who's a team you and I think is, wait for it, frisky. So, they could be 8 or 9. There we go again.
That's the first thing I thought when I started doing this, the research last night. I was like, well, we got a couple of frisky teams here in Minnesota.
Yeah, we do.
In Minnesota and Indiana. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think 8 or 9 wins is reasonable. Anything less than that's a huge disappointment. And hey, you could talk me into them beating, Wisconsin or Ohio State at home. Those are both home games. They're at TCF. Could they do to Ohio State this year what Michigan did to Minnesota last year, where we opened the season and beat them like a drum, and they were just kind of never the same after that. And that Michigan team was smoke on the water. I mean, they were total fool's gold. But, could Minnesota do that to Ohio State? Very first game of the year, and it ain't that far away, Daddy. It's like 5 weeks away. So I got them at 8 or 9. I think they'll be right there in the pack, but not at the top of the league.
So I just got a message from a guy by the name of Carlson that's listening to us on radio, but I guess he popped in on YouTube for a second. And he said, why are we, he's a big Minnesota fan. He said, why are we got a picture of Indiana? We're talking Minnesota. Carlson, we're doing Indiana next. And oh, by the way, every Minnesota picture I went to pull up today, because I do this right before I go on, I don't do like an hour of research. I just see picture that I like. Every Minnesota picture I found, it didn't look like the Minnesota uniform they typically wear. It was some alternate junk. And I'm like, no one's going to know what the hell that is. So we went with the Indiana pick, and they had an American flag. I was like, well, Olympics started last night. So, fair enough. Yeah, I'll be on. And see, you bring up Ibrahim, and I don't think a lot of people outside of Big Ten watching know this. You've gotten me watching more Big Ten football over the last few years than I've ever watched. I usually watch like the big games, but now I'm getting to where I'll watch Minnesota play Colorado this year. It'll intrigue me. But this Ibrahim in 7 games, not a full season, in 7 games, he had 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns. And so I think that's where the season's going to be buttered. Look, I know they've got Tanner Morgan, and he had a great 2019, but realistically, there was such a big drop off last year, and Mike Sanford came in as the offensive coordinator because they lost their offensive coordinator to head coaching job. I'm sorry. No, he left to go to Penn State as a coordinator. Regardless, they lost their offensive coordinator to Penn State. So that last year was his first year. It was terrible. So this guy, Sanford's feet are going to be up against the fire because if he can't replicate what happened in 2019 this year, everyone's going to give you a pass from last year. But this year, 35 touchdown passes, I believe it was, and 3,000 yards passing, and it was a huge drop off the next year.
Yep.
So that to me is really where it's going to be. Where do you have them projected? So real quick with their schedule, because we won't have much time because we're about to hit the break, but it's Ohio State at home and then Miami at Colorado, as you mentioned, Bowling Green at Purdue, at home against Nebraska and Maryland. They travel to Northwestern, at home against Illinois, at Iowa, at Indiana, at home against Wisconsin. The over-under out in Vegas right now is 7.5 for the Golden Gophers for the entire season. I think that's low because it's kind of an easy schedule, to be honest.
It is.
You know, I mean, I think I would take the over on that. I think 8-9 wins is very doable for them. What say you?
Yeah, I would 100% bang the over on that. I don't believe they'll come out of the West. I think the West is Wisconsin's to lose, and we'll talk about them when we, get to their season profile. But you can talk me into second or third. I think they're equal to or above Iowa. I've got them, going 6-3 in the Big Ten and 9-3 overall. And again, I think they could drop that Colorado game. They could drop some game that I'm not, considering where they get upset. But they could also win one of those games against Ohio State or Wisconsin. So 6-3 in the Big Ten, probably 3-0 outside of the conference, even though I don't love that game in Colorado. I like Colorado a lot. But definitely the over. I don't see them losing, 5 games. I just don't buy it.
Yeah, I've got them going. That Colorado game scares me. They might lose that Colorado game, but even if they go 2-1 outside of the conference, I'm with you. I think a 6-3 is very doable. So 8-4 to me is very gettable. And then if things fall the right way, if they can find a way, I don't believe they're going to upset Ohio State. By the way, that's the first game of the season.
First game of the season.
Friday night,
baby.
What a way to
go.
kick the season off.
In Minneapolis, though, in TD Bank. So, woo, boy.
I'm going to be at the damn Grand Ole Opry that night. But anyways, damn it. I got screwed again. But anyways, yeah, look, that is a great way to start the season off. They'll probably lose that game. But if they get a couple of these games to go their way, the back-to-back of at Iowa, at Indiana, at home against Wisconsin will probably define their season. And that's at the very end of the schedule. We got to take a quick break. Y'all, when we come back, we're going to talk to Indiana Hoosiers. And remember how good they've been the past couple of years. Well, they got a lot of guys coming back, and we'll get into that on the other side of the break. Plus, we're going to tell you where dudes are getting traded to. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
One more time. Hey, don't you want a washboard stomach and rock-hard pecs?
No, I want a flabby gut and saggy man breasts.
We're talking baseball. We'll be talking pickups, trades, who's hot, who's not, sleepers and busts, how these players performed and what it means to their teams and what to look for. That's the Armchair Quarterbacks, talking baseball. The Armchair Quarterbacks radio show.
Where do they go?
Make contact. A collective psychosis is sweeping the nation. We're in the thick of the haze craze, and Elysian is introducing an altered state of IPA. Contact Haze is a tangled chemistry of mild haze, low bitterness, and an explosion of hop aroma. This hazy IPA bursts with notes of bright raspberry, currant, citrus, guava, and passion fruit. Available in 6-pack cans in stores and in all Seattle Elysian locations. Make contact.
I'm a Vol fan. I still think getting to the championship is a big deal.
Take the road less traveled in the newly redesigned Hyundai Santa Fe. With available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you get off the beaten path a little further together. And intuitive safety features that can help you see what's waiting around the bend. Plus, with generous room for 5 and comfortable available Napa leather seating, you can go for more drives as a family without driving each other crazy. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
If we actually enjoyed our New Year's resolutions, we'd all have 6-packs, money in our saving accounts, and we'd know how to play the piano. I have to tell you about the one resolution I actually enjoy. It's Built Bar. It's delicious. Oh, yeah, it's healthy too. Built Bar is healthier than your favorite protein bar. They're low-cal, low sugar, high protein, high fiber, great for the keto diet. Lose or maintain weight while indulging. And with only 4 net carbs and 150 calories, there's no guilt. Visit BuiltBar.com.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays. Drive time? Find the Armchair Quarterback Show on Facebook today.
Remember, if for any reason you must leave your radio, please have the man at the door stamp your ear so you can listen again later.
Okay. I'm ready to rock.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks. We are Armchair Quarterbacks on Facebook. Find us today.
What's happening in sports? Find out when it happens. Get the CBS Sports app free in the Android Market and iTunes App Store.
Amazon Prime members now get free grocery delivery with a minimum order. You'll get your groceries with 2-hour delivery. So in that time, you can finally figure out where the biblioteca is. Learn how to play the acoustic guitar, and I guess get a puka shell necklace. Do a makeup tutorial, but realize halfway contouring is hard, and you're beautiful just as you are. Whatever it is you're doing with your time, your shopper will be carefully picking out your favorite organic meats, produce, dairy, and snacks, while providing contactless delivery to your door. Free 2-hour grocery delivery, now with Prime.
The Armchair Quarterbacks Wake Up Show, the rock and roll of sports talk radio. So turn that auto-tune and mumble crap off from the other guys.
Cool. Wizard versus nerd. I'll strike you down with my spell. No, science is the answer.
Good morning. Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Sean, do you like how I file-proofed our brakes? I guess that's nail file-proofed our brakes.
You did.
I now share the schedules and the relevant schedules. I don't know if it got to it, but I had Indiana's schedule. Sometimes I forget to hit play, and the thing will just sit there. I look, I go, Christ, we're almost through the break. But anyways, Minnesota schedule, and there's something stupid that is on my desktop, and I got to figure out what it is. But if I barely scan over it, you'll see this big square pop up, and y'all don't see anything. But it, like, I don't know, it's got the weather or something on it. I'm like, get that crap off my stupid. Anyways, I never think to delete it until we get in the middle of the show. And I'm like, oh man, here we go again. It just recently started doing it too. I think it was an update by Windows or something ridiculous. Like
sounds about right.
I just want my clunky computer to work. I don't want any bells and whistles. I just want to do what I want to do. Don't give me what you want me to do. Let's get into DFS today. So you've got a lot, and I mean a lot of, by the way, I won last week. So I have to brag about that because I don't win all that often on the DFS baseball because I'm famous for not checking the lineup right before first pitch. And I'll have a bunch of dudes sitting out there in my lineup that didn't play that day or it's been rained out, but I did get a W. The DFS today is interesting because you got a lot of early games. Where are you going today? Are you going early style or where are you going today?
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the later games. The one I'm in is all 6 o'clock and later games. And the one name that popped out to me, I was kind of doing a deep dive on batter hitcher matchups, batters who face a pitcher a certain number of times, at least more than 10 times. And the one that jumped out immediately, he's a little higher price than I usually like to spend at this position because it's so top heavy. But Paul Goldschmidt's 5,200 against Kyle Hendricks. And I did a double take when I looked at his numbers, but his career against Hendricks, he's 11 for 24 with 4 home runs. I think that's okay. So for 5,200, I'll put Paul Goldschmidt in my lineup. There seems to be something about Hendricks that he likes. And I seem to very specifically remember the last time they played was either last weekend or the weekend before the All-Star break in Chicago. And Hendricks left him a changeup over the middle, and I know it went viral for a couple of hours because he hit it completely out of the stadium. Like it never touched a set of hands until it went onto that avenue that's behind Wrigley, which is he must like something he sees when Hendricks is on the mound. So give me Goldschmidt 5,200. That's my big winner for today.
By the way, if you look at the early matchups, this is how piss poor the pitching is in the early matchups. Kyle Muller's 9,500. What? Why is not that Kyle Muller's terrible, but he hasn't built a name, right? Like, why is he 9,500? And then I look at the rest of it's like you got Stroman, you've got Bumgarner, and then Kyle Muller, and the rest of them are like bullpen pieces. You're like, oh wow. So you have that. Be careful with that one, my friend. If you go early, I think you absolutely have to grab Stroman because you're playing a dangerous game trying to gamble with those others. Where are you going on your pick of the day?
Yeah, my pick of the day. I usually try not to bet with emotion, but I'm gonna stick with the Rangers Tigers series really quick. The Rangers have scored two runs in their last 6 games. Wow. And I know Matt Manning's on the mound today. I know the kid's 18. He hasn't always looked perfect. But for some reason, the Tigers are getting a run and a half, and Tigers are playing with a lot of confidence right now. They're running the bases really well. They lead all of baseball in stolen bases, which I had to look at twice. I couldn't believe it. They have 62. AJ Hinch has really got these young kids again, just, playing well above their talent level. 8 games under 500, and the Rangers are just in an absolute free fall. Nobody can hit. They're overshifting Gallo like crazy and just pitching him inside. Half of the guys on this team are going to be wearing other jerseys, before July 31st. So give me Detroit plus the 1.5. I wouldn't be crazy enough to bet the over or the under because it's Jordan Lyles versus Matt Manning. So it could be 13-11 and it could be 3-1. I got nothing, but I don't think there's any way the Rangers are winning. I've been paying attention because I've got some skin in them. I've got Adolis Garcia in a couple leagues and I've got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa in several leagues, and they can't hit their way out of a wet paper sack right now.
So there's a couple that intrigue me. Now, for whatever reason, I'm not getting every line on the site that I go to, but I'll deal with what I'm looking at. And one thing that intrigues me is the Mets-Reds game. Stroman is on the mound versus Hoffman. The over-under is 10.5. That seems very high because Stroman
seems like a lot.
As much as I'm not a fan of Stroman, he's kind of a doofball, and I liked how he hid behind everyone. He ran his mouth Friday night.
Hold it back.
What was that dude's name for the freaking Pirates? The first baseman who's like the back of his jersey looked like a hockey name. I'm like, this guy's going to just pummel you into dust. But as much as I'm not a fan of him, he's pitched really well this year. It's incredibly important for him because he's a free agent. But 10.5 is huge. And then the other one that I see that's a little strange to me is Dylan Cease is only a -140 at home against the terrible Twins. So that's the one I'm going with. I'm going with the White Sox -140. He's pitched really well this year, and I don't see Michael Pineda going toe to toe with him. But I'll tell you what, that Reds Mets under really is intriguing, and it's also on only a -105. So it's almost like they're convinced it's going to be a high scoring game. I just don't know how it's going to be a high scoring game with Stroman on the mound. Maybe he's got a terrible track record in Cincinnati and I'm not aware of that, but my gut tells me take the under in that. Even if this Hoffman kid gets pummeled, I still think the Mets win like 7-1. Because the Mets don't have this elite offense. It's going to go bananas. I know they scored 15 the other night, but that's like the most they'll score. They won't score 15 more runs the rest of, we're in 21st. They won't score 15 runs the rest of the damn month. So anyways, we'll move on from that. Let's get into Indiana Hoosier football.
Yeah,
Which
baby.
at one point was an absolute clown show, and now you got to take them extremely seriously because
super seriously,
man, I'll tell you, it's getting super serious around here in Indiana. They beat, for the first time ever in their illustrious football career, the Indiana Hoosiers beat Michigan, Michigan State, and Penn State all in the same season. They have never done that before. ever. So, and I get it that those three teams were not at their peak, but that's a big deal for Indiana. So let's start there. They've got 8 guys returning on offense, 9 on defense.
And it was a good defense.
A very good defense. And they brought in Charlton Warren from Georgia for USCC fans that remember him. And they have a new defensive coordinator in Womack because their defensive coordinator became head coach at South Alabama. But they are keeping the 4-2-5 scheme, which I thought was very important because so basically they're not changing a whole lot. They're just changing who's making the play calls. Oh, by the way, your girl Osaka that doesn't like the media, I just saw an ad for the Olympics and her face was plastered all over it. She was
that must have been shot a year and a half ago. That's what she told Megan.
It was that thing was taken before they even knew Tokyo existed. You don't understand how it works.
Don't silence my truth. Hashtag bullying.
Because Megyn Kelly doesn't understand any of the workings of the media. Shut the hell up. I kind of get into that on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today. But anyways, I won't repeat myself. By the way, programming note, Take Me Out to the Ball Game today and Braves Country today. Those usually come out between the 10 and 11 o'clock hour. And then Sean and I are going to be doing the payoff pitch. And you're going to see the payoff pitch kind of do its turn because we're sitting here almost in August. I think we'll get pretty heavy into fantasy football this week. I'll get with you on that off air, but got some fun things that I think that'll be a lot of fun to do on.
We'll see who else I can curse this week since we didn't mention Cam Akers' name yet.
Yeah, dude, Cam Akers, that poor bastard.
He got a black rabbit's foot in a shoe somewhere around here. I'm walking on eggshells.
Why's it got to be black, Sean?
Oh, stop it! Get out of here. Back to Indiana.
Canceled. You're canceled.
You're canceled
for even thinking about rabbits and black. You're canceled. Okay, Michael Penix Jr. or Penix. I don't know how he pronounces it.
Michael Penix Jr.
But I do know that he's been there a couple of years and he's been pretty darn good. Well, I've heard it pronounced like 3 different ways. I even saw
you'd be forgiven. Yeah.
I've even heard a guy pronounce it without the X. I'm like, I'm not sure if that's
that's not correct.
That doesn't sound right. But anyways, plus you're not going to get me to say Peni, or maybe you are. But he's coming off the ACL injury, 61% completion rate. And then you got Samson James there, who is going to take over at running back, and he's more of a breakaway guy. This wide receiving core of Indiana may be as a whole better than what they had last year, even though they lost their guy to the NFL draft. What the hell is his name? It's escaping me right now. The guy that went to the
I know who you're thinking of. I need to look it up too.
I'll find it in a second. But anyways, he went fairly high in the draft. But anyways, moving on from that, it'll come to me in a second. But they got DJ Matthews. For people who don't remember that, DJ Matthews was a top recruit at Florida State. And transferred in. He came in. He's got to be a junior or senior by now. Of course, with COVID, he's probably a freshman plus or something. He's considered a senior. All right,
freshman plus.
I'm telling you, man, you're gonna have these guys that they're gonna play like 9 years now. But with all that being said, they got 9 returners on defense. That defense was elite last year. And then the guys that they're bringing in, I'll tell you what, in Indiana could be a scary team.
Yeah, their receiving core is a strength. And I couldn't pull an Indiana receiver that got drafted last year. I wonder if you're thinking about Freifogel, but he's back. He didn't graduate or come out.
You know who I was thinking of? I was thinking of the kid from Minnesota. Sorry.
Okay. Bateman. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were good last year. They're going to go as far as Penix carries them. The knock on Penix has been, his health. The reason that Peyton Ramsey transferred out of the program and played his 5th season for Northwestern last year and led them to the season they did, is because Tom Allen believes in Michael Penix, believes he is, that this Deshaun Watson, Michael Vick kind of, athlete, but he's a much better passer than I think he's given credit for. He's a very accurate passer. He's got a good arm. The rub on him has always been, can you keep him on the field? Because, he's a buck nothing. He's a tiny dude, so you got to block up front. It's interesting. They brought in, a couple of different transfers for the offensive line, including one from Michigan right up the road, Zach Carpenter, who started 2 games for us, at guard last year as a redshirt freshman. He could play at center or guard. So it's going to be about keeping him healthy. The defense is going to be good. It's just tough for me to see them winning the East because Ohio State is there. But I think they're at worst the second best team in the Big Ten. And I think they'll finish right behind Ohio State. In fact, the only games I have them losing are Ohio State and either at Michigan or at Iowa to start the season. I've only got them losing twice.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. I'm looking at this, and the over under. Well, the Vegas line that I saw on wins was 8.5, and I just think that's just because they don't have the respect of.
Yeah, they don't.
Right now.
They don't have the street cred yet. No.
And by the time we get to kickoff, it might get creep to 9.5. But I think I'm with you. Look, at Penn State's going to be tough. Ohio State's going to be tough. We'll see what Michigan does this year. Can't wait for Michigan Day. But the tricky thing is they start off at Iowa, and that is not going to be an easy game.
That's brutal. That's brutal.
I don't know what they
even though I think the bloom is starting to come off the Ferenc Rose, his teams always play hard. So
yeah, and the thing is they normally play much better later in the season, so they'll probably get them. But that is a tough, man. You got to start the season off
a tough start
on the road against a bitter rival. I mean, that's just man. That's
at Iowa, at Penn State, at Michigan. I think if they go 2-1 out of that, then they maybe get to 10 wins. But if they go 1-2, they're not getting past 9. And I just, as much as I want to say that they can beat Ohio State because the game is in Bloomington, I'm just, Ohio State's the class of the league, and I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I give them a better chance to beat Ohio State than I do at Penn State, because they'll probably make that a freaking what do they call those? The whiteouts? Of course, that's cancel culture. There's no way we can do whiteouts anymore. So everyone just kind of wave their hands instead, but not you, guy. You're way too white and freckly. But when they have those going at Penn State, I mean, to me, it's a very, very intimidating atmosphere. It's one of the coolest atmospheres in all of sports. And so I'm looking forward to that game. I think they'll probably they should be undefeated, but I'll tell you what, that Cincinnati game, that's another tough one.
Cincinnati ain't no pushover, man.
Yeah.
Ain't no pushover.
I'm glad that sentence ended the way it's ended. When you first started saying they ain't no puh, I was like, oh, here we go. hit the mute button. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I see a 10-2 Indiana team. I think I could see this team going to a New Year's Day bowl game. I'm not bold enough to put them in the playoffs, but I'll tell you what, if things fell the right way, they could win the Big Ten, because Ohio State starting over from scratch again, losing Justin Fields. So why can't they win that game at Ohio State? Why can't they beat Penn State? They just have to make sure they don't drop a game that they shouldn't drop, like drop one at home against Rutgers, right?
Yep.
Or lose to Western Kentucky on the road. Those are the things that have always tripped up Indiana programs in the past. But let's move on from that, and we will get here. So we got Major League Baseball. The trading deadline is coming, and there's going to be a lot of moving and shaking, I think, this year. I don't think it's going to be what it has been in years past, where you just kind of flat and there's no big names. I think you're going to get some big names absolutely start. So let's hit that.
Yeah, I've got a couple teams. I got a couple teams I'm going to hit really quick that I wanted to go over. I'm going to go over the Brewers first, who is actually who the Braves are playing when we're going to be in Truist Park. I'll give you two names. I think one is almost it makes too much sense not to happen. Is Trevor Story. They need another bat in that offense. They can move some players from the infield around. And they're still starting Keston here at first base, and he just does not get better. Somebody really messed up his swing. That'll probably cost them their two AAA pitchers that are pitching here in Nashville. Ethan Small and Aaron Ashby. They're both left-handers. They're both pretty much major league ready, 23 and 24 years old with good makeups. It'll cost them at least that much, I think. The question is whether they'll be willing to pay that much for a guy who's essentially a rental. But the last time the Brewers were this good, they did this. They traded for CC Sabathia, and then he walked in the offseason and signed with the Yankees. So it's not like they've never done it before. They've also been linked a lot to Scherzer. I don't buy. You and I have talked about the Nationals before. I don't buy that the Nationals are selling because that's just not Rizzo's MO. But they're a name. He's a name to keep an eye on for Milwaukee as well. And I'll go quick because I know you got a couple too. Red Sox.
Well, hold on, man. You don't just rattle yours off and I rattle mine off. Let's do this a little more. All right. I'm going to go with, I'll see that. And I'll go with the New York Mets. And I'm going to give them Javi Baez from the Cubs. They've got the injury with Lindor, depending on how long he's out. If they don't go there, if Lindor ends up not being out as long as they think he might be, then Gallo would be my guy to go to New York. They've got to get a bat, and they've got to get a bat fast. This offense is atrocious, and I think they're going to have to give up probably. If you go with Gallo, you're talking about an extra season of control.
Yep.
Baez is a free agent, so Baez, I think you could get him a lot cheaper.
Costs a lot less.
With Gallo, you might have to go with someone like they have a kid in their minor league system that I'm big on, Pete Crow Armstrong, and he's 19 years old right now, but he is coming out at looking. They believe that he can be one of the better hitters coming up in the next few years. He's only 19 years old, so he's a project. But if you bring him to the Cubs, I think he's a lefty. I just think he makes a lot of sense. All right, what's your next guy?
So my next one's going to be the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox could use either a quality bat to add to the middle of their lineup around Bogarts, Martinez, and Devers to fortify what they have. They could try and upgrade first base or right field. They're kind of, got a hodgepodge of Bobby Dahlbeck, and, they just called up Jared Duran, who looks promising, but those guys are super young. And they also could use one more arm in the bullpen. It's basically just Ottavino and Barnes in the back end or a starter. So there's some ways that they're kind of trying to fortify around the edges. The name that I really like for them and the one that makes the most sense is Kyle Gibson. Obviously on an expiring deal with the Texas Rangers. So since it's an expiring deal, you can't ask for a king's ransom. Would probably cost them either Gilberto Jimenez or Nick York. Nick York's a second baseman. He's currently an A-ball. Gilberto Jimenez is an outfielder, currently an A-ball. And Jimenez, just may not have a place to play with Jaron Duran and the players that they already have playing in the outfield. They could also move their top prospect, Tristan Cassis, if they believe that Dahlbeck is the future at first base, because they play the same position. And by all accounts, Cassis really doesn't have a second position. It's first base or DH. He's never played the outfield.
One thing about Kyle Gibson, he's not a free agent until 2023.
Oh, okay. I missed that. I thought he was.
But I'll tell you what.
Oh, interesting.
If you make a trade for him, you better give them a haul. He's only $7 million next year.
Woo.
Now,
in that case,
he's also
that's 3 prospects.
He's also 34 years old next year, but that's he's a UFA as they call him in a 2023.
Okay, got it. So he's got 2 more years of team control. Well, that changes that calculus big time. They've also been linked a bit to Ian Kennedy. So, they seem to have been sniffing around the Rangers by all reports. Kennedy would almost be more interesting than Gibson. But Gibson would be a huge upgrade over some of the guys they're trotting out there, especially Garrett Richards. So those would be my names.
All right, so I'm going with the Tampa Bay Rays, and I'm going to give them John Gray. He is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. And with that being said, that means they don't have to give him up quite as much. But I do think that they're going to want something. I think they're going to want pitching. It seems like that's the direction Colorado is going if you watched or paid attention to any bit of their draft. So I'm going to give him Nick Bitsko. He is a 19-year-old righty, 6'4", 225 pounds in the Tampa Bay system. And that's where I have it. That John Gray would make a lot of sense for the Tampa Bay Rays because they need pitching, but they don't want to give up a haul to get like a Gibson with 2 years control. So they can rent him for a little bit, and then hopefully Glasnow can come back as well, and Tampa could go deep into the playoffs. What's your last team?
My last team is the Oakland A's, who, have had a rash of injuries kind of in the outfield and some really underperforming results. Laureano's been great when he's been healthy. Unfortunately, he hasn't been healthy most of the season. They've had to start, Tony Kemp a lot in the infield and move Elvis Andrus around a little bit. They got Stevens Piscotty out there. Mark Hanna's barely batting over 200. So they really need an upgrade in the outfield to fortify that offense. The name I'm going to give them is an old friend of ours who we've seen far too much of this year. One, Mr. Adam Duvall, who has a mutual team option for 2022. So you're not just getting one season, you're getting next year as well. He's got kind of an unimpressive slash line if you just look at it on its face, with 18 walks and 91 punch outs, but 19 homers. He saved 9 runs in the outfield, and he's kind of one of those streaky guys, but when he gets hot, man, and especially against left-handers, he can really bop the ball all over the place. I think since he's got an extra year of control, and because the Marlins seem to value young arms, especially, it's probably going to cost them at least Dalton Jeffries, maybe Jeffries and AJ Puck, who hasn't worked out yet. They've called him up a few times, and it just hasn't, gone well for him in Oakland. It should cost them at least that much, maybe even a Luis Barrera, who's in AAA, a highly touted outfield prospect. That seems like the kind of haul the Marlins would ask for in return.
What would be interesting about that, whoever makes that trade, is how they view his contract, because it's a mutual contract for 2022. So if he balks, then the team's off the hook. If he says I want in and they say I don't, then they owe him $3 million. So regardless how you look at it, there is some issue there one way or the other. All right, the guy that I'm going next, and then we'll wrap this up, is the San Francisco Giants, and I'm going to go Starling Marte. I think there's a very good chance he ends up there. They've kind of kicked the tires on him already. He is an unrestricted free agent, so it means they wouldn't be on the hook if they brought him in, and he is instant offense. Got banged up the other day, and I don't know if that's going to affect this, but as of right now, he should be good to go, and Starling Marte would be my guy. And they are loaded in their minor league system, but I think with getting that money off their baseline and getting a prospect, I think the Marlins would go after someone like a Luis Toribio, who he is a 20-year-old prospect, third baseman that they could work into their system, and away you go there. All right, let's go ahead and get into turn back time and get the hell on out of here on another great edition of Sean O'Toole Wednesdays.
It's your birthday.
That ain't right. Here we go. And I got these lights on me because I just noticed it was kind of a dark backdrop before, so now I can't see a damn thing. I'm getting blinded everywhere. All right, on this date, this is a pretty good one. This date, 1988. Sean was just a wee little lad then. The Yankees trade Jay Buhner to the Mariners for Ken Phelps. The one-sided deal would become immortalized in Seinfeld as by Frank Costanza, George's dad, when he would lay into Steinbrenner on the show. He goes, how could you trade Buter for Phelps? This is the 33rd anniversary of that.
Man.
Yeah. And also on this date, 1975, I mean, we hit this almost, I feel like once a week. Billy Martin was fired again, this time by the Texas Rangers on this date, 1975. All right, birthdays.
It's your birthday today.
All right. Dead guy. Harold Jug McSpaden. Jug McSpaden. American golfer. He was a course designer. He had 17 PGA Tour wins, was born in Monticello, Kansas, and lived to the ripe old age of, I guess, about 88. He died in 1996. So pretty good life by him. And we get the live guy. Well, I lost it. Here it is. Happy 42nd birthday to David Carr. Oh, that was a bust. Oh, that was
boy, oh boy.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, Houston Texans. You just do not have good luck when it comes to quarterbacks. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
My walk-off for today is not going to be heard by the residents it's targeted at, but shame on you, City of Oakland. You are about to lose your third franchise. You are about to have 0 because you made a yes vote on the term sheet, which basically tells the A's the $352 million they requested for additional infrastructure to basically pay for the ballpark, which they are willing to pay for. Like 75-25, which is not the deal the city of Miami got if you want to go look it up, or Rome County in Georgia. As much as I love the Braves, that ain't the deal the Braves got either. The city paid for a lot of that ballpark. The A's are footing almost $650 million to build a new ballpark. They asked the city for $350 million, and they voted yes on the term sheet, which means no on the extra infrastructure. A's are going to Vegas, or they're going to Nashville. They're going somebody else. Bye-bye, Oakland. All your woke back liberal politicians, you're going to have 0 professional sports teams. You're going to talk about gentrification of communities, and you got no income except for tourism. And I don't know anybody who's visiting Oakland to stare at the water. So have a nice day. Bye-bye.
I mean, are they going to pass out, bulletproof vests when you get off the plane?
They gonna have to, because there ain't nothing else to do there. It's gonna be liquor store, gun store, vape store, gun store.
Jump on the bus here, and we'll drive you by where Too Short used to kick rhymes. It's like, what the hell's in Oakland?
Bye-bye, Las Vegas A's. It's gonna be another one.
This is where MC Hammer moved before, he got money and got the hell out of here.
Right. And then he moved to Malibu, by the way. Once he had money, he couldn't be in Malibu fast enough. Ice Cube, too. You want to talk about gentrification? Shut up.
Exactly. I missed one, by the way. CC Sabathia, you talked about him a second ago, 41 years old today. So
he isn't always my cup of tea, but he's passionate. I love his podcast. I don't always agree with him, but man, he says what he thinks. I'll give him that much.
Yeah, I haven't listened to a lot of it, but because normally
Tim and Ryan Rucco, the guy that does some NBA stuff and Yankees games. So it's pretty good. You should check it out. You would probably like it.
Yeah, I don't have the time that other people have. See, when
fair enough.
When you're constantly making shows, you don't have a chance to catch as many. I would love to catch more shows. Where do you catch that on? Is that Spotify?
I actually use an app called Pocket Casts because I don't like to put money in Spotify's pocket, but yeah, it's on there. It's R2C2. So okay. Ryan Rucco, CC Sabathia. Okay. It's a really good podcast. And again, CC gets hot from time to time. I mean, he gets real hot about the Yankees. But I appreciate his passion, and I've always respected him. I always have.
He had some take last year that I liked, but I really don't even remember what it is. My walk off for the day is this is National Junk Food Day. Sean, what's your go-to junk food?
Man, as I've gotten older, I've had to watch it because we don't want the diabetes to lose our fetus. But my go-to is Rolled Gold makes cheddar pretzels. Those are probably my big go-to. They're really, really good, and they're not that bad for you. And, in my younger years, it would be Doritos, but I can't be doing that stuff now. I'll wake up in bad shape.
What I thought of this the other day, or saw this. I guess it was yesterday. First thing I thought of when I asked you is I was expecting you to say Code Red, because I remember you used to suck on that Code Red, man. It was like Code Red, and I think it was Doritos. I think
it was Code Red and Doritos in my 20s for
it-
sure. Boy,
it depends on what you call junk food. My Achilles heel has always been sweets. I love chocolate and stuff, but if it's actual junk food, like whether it's I've never been a big chip person, so I think I would have to go with like pizza, and I guess that's considered junk food, although there is
pizza's a go-to.
Yeah, pizza, and my favorite thing in the world is a good old burger. It's also National Hot Dog Day, so that kind of ties into that. All right, brother, we will see you Saturday for the payoff pitch, and we're going to be doing some fantasy football stuff. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we are.
See y'all tomorrow. Joey will be here. We'll be talking the Vikings and a lot more. Have a great one, y'all. Double headers, all kinds of double headers today. We didn't even
Braves double header. Go Braves, go Tigers. Let's go.
Yeah, all kinds of double headers.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go.
That's what she said.
We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get